Great. Wonderful. Welcome, Ethan from Sacred Soul Works. Thank you so much for agreeing to take time today for me to talk to you about your experience on an international retreat. And we were talking a little bit in the pre-show about how you traveled to Peru. So this will be just kind of a informal space. I want you to be able to share just the heart of the experience that you had. So could you tell me a little bit about your trip to Machu Picchu and kind of what
Yeah,
led you
definitely.
there?
So yeah, I'm Ethan. Hey. And what led me to Peru was actually a training within the States that allowed me to go to Peru, and it's quantum healing hypnosis technique. So it started off as the advanced practitioner training for that, which then led to the retreat portion of that, which took place in Machu Picchu. And the class actually took place in Cusco. So we landed in Lima, then we had another connecting flight to Cusco on this smaller airplane, which was really fun to be on because I was like, whoa, what's going on here? No, it was really fun. And then yeah, it just unfolded to be exactly what it needed to be while I was there. To be able to come together with people who have the same desire to increase conscientiousness within their everyday lives, within the collective, within just our experience of reality is such a powerful thing to be able to experience in a place like that.
Can you tell
So
us a little bit about quantum hypnosis therapy and
yeah, yeah,
for
yeah.
those who don't know,
Yeah, so for those
yeah.
of you who don't know, quantum healing hypnosis technique is a form of regression therapy that was developed by Dolores Cannon over her 40-year span of her career. And it's honestly a really, really beautiful modality. And I love utilizing it because of the fact it's so client centered in the sense that you come into a session with the desire to get whatever you're wanting to get, right? So people come to QHHT sessions for health issues, for relationship issue, like anything that's causing a melody within their life. You can utilize QHHT because what we find is that whatever they need to experience or visit or gain understanding from is going to surface within that session. And then the most important part of the QHHT session is calling in the subconscious, the higher self, the oversoul, and we call in that part of that person. So it's sort of like parts work in a sense. And then we ask for clarification of like why they were shown what they were shown in that session and what it has to do in relation with what's going on in their life right now. And then they work on a list of questions leading up to their session. So then we get to that list of questions and we ask the higher self all the questions that they have. And it's all recorded for them. They leave my office with a recording of that session. And it's really important for them to go back and listen to it because, every time you're listening to that, it's being reinforced within the subconscious mind. So yeah, that's QHHT.
Yeah, one part subconscious conscious plus some communication with the I would call it the astral plane is like a
Oh,
Reiki
definitely.
practitioner, like
Definitely. Yeah.
something bigger, right? The
Yeah,
spiritual
exactly.
nature of
Exactly. So I think that being able to act as a guide in that space with someone to help them realize that it is within them, right? It's within all of us and we're always connected to it. And it's as simple as taking that breath and turning inward and staying connected with it because it's always there.
Well, that's incredible. Thank you so much for explaining that. So that gives so much perspective. Like now you're in this container of people that are all doing this and not only practitioners of it, but at an advanced level.
Yeah.
Um, and you said, I think you guys were at the top of a mountain is where
Yeah, so
that
so
took place.
Cusco, we were at So when we were in Cusco for class, we were at the highest point in Cusco, which is I think and don't quote me guys, the elevation is like 14,000 above sea level. Um and that's not even Machu Picchu yet. This is still Cusco where we're taking the class. And you have all these people in this room, and we're learning about QHHT, and I actually got chosen to do a session in front of class, which was crazy. It turned out that the one who was acting as a client ended up being my dad in another timeline. So that was really cool. So just the whole conglomeration of all the energies and everything going on. And then you're in a place like Peru. So we were in Cusco for about how long were we in Cusco? Well, a week, let's say. And then we went to Machu Picchu. And we got to Machu Picchu and we hiked Machu Picchu and we went all throughout Machu Picchu and had lots of good food. And I think that the most profound part of any sort of like retreat, it's like the importance of the conversations that arise one on one that you don't expect. It's not within the itinerary. That's the stuff that really seems to make a really impactful, meaningful shift within just ideas. And then being able to connect with people on that level and carry on those relationships after that point with people from all around the world, stay in contact, and the addition of all being QHHT practitioners and, bouncing ideas around in that regard as well. And also, it's true, it was phenomenal. And I think that anyone who has the opportunity to do any sort of retreat, whether it be within your local region or outside, it's definitely something that should be taken advantage of.
That's really incredible. I love that you're still in touch with some of the
Yeah.
people,
Yeah.
and
No,
you can't help but bond, right? When you're
yeah.
in such an intimate, high vibrational space for as long as a week.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. And I think about like the friendships I developed and seeing what they're doing in their lives now, right? Just it's really cool. Like I have a one friend, she has a coffee shop now in New Jersey, and then I have friends that have completed their social work degrees. Awesome stuff, like celebrating really big life events with each other and being able to cheer each other on.
And you have a private office space. Is that something that transpired for you after the retreat?
Yeah, now that you mention it, actually, after that retreat, I came back and I was working at a psychiatry office at the time. And I was like, I really got to start doing this. And within regards to QHHT, it's structured in the sense, or at least when I was getting my certifications with them, there was oversight in terms of you have to have X amount of sessions done before you progress throughout how they structured all of that. So I had all of those sessions, I took the courses, and then I'm like, what am I doing at the psychiatry office? I just need to open my own office and start doing this. So I did. And then COVID hit. So it's like a new business, and then you have this worldwide event that's like, whoa, what's going on? So it's been really interesting to see how things have progressed and shifted, and just the ebbs and flows of all of it with community and also within the solitude of it.
there anything else that stands out for you in we would call it like an integration period, in some practices after, like ways that you can see your life changing and transforming as a result of this experience?
I mean, my entire life, right?
Mhm.
There isn't one portion of my life that hasn't been altered by not only QHHT, but by specifically that retreat, I mean, my entire life is completely different. You know, the course of my life is completely different. And in the sense of, I mean, I have my own business. I think within myself, and this is where I see the integration, is that I was just taking courses and taking courses. And the one that really needed the healing was me.
Mm.
So then to develop relationships with other people who are willing to hold you accountable, and then you have that same expectation of yourself, right? So you start holding yourself accountable. To be in that place of, whoa, like, all right, got to pull up my big boy pants and get to work. And I think that the integration of an experience like that is constant. And I think just integration as a whole is constant because we're here. And also being able to integrate and like embody that, right? Embody what it means to have almost a like it feels in a sense a moral obligation to like society at large, and not even society but humanity. That means how I show up in all of my relationships. That means how I spend my money. That means what choices I'm making, and you know where I'm spending my time. Like, so it's completely shifted every aspect of my life, every aspect.
So potent. What stands out for me, like, in hearing it is it's like the peer group for you just gets escalated like 10 degree because out in life we're just sort of bopping into whoever we're bopping into. And when you drop yourself into a mountaintop classroom in Peru and connect with all of these people that have such aligned values and intentions. There's just no way to not elevate yourself as a human being and to see what you are capable of, what kind of practices you could be living in. And I think in a very loving way, like raises the bar many, many notches in
Yeah,
a way that's
definitely.
like almost unforgettable. You know, you go back
It
to
is unforgettable. It is.
life before, and there's always that context of what it felt like on retreat.
The most important thing is being able to anchor that into every day, bringing that love and compassion and gratitude into every interaction. When you're getting frustrated with your significant other, when somebody cuts you off in traffic, when, you know, somebody's screaming in your face. In those situations, that's when it counts. And when nobody's watching, because and the thing is you can't force it. If it's not if it's not the if it's not there, it's not there.
Yeah, and I feel like there's a certain cosmic order to like who arrives at these events and in these
Definitely.
spaces that I don't know. I haven't heard from many people like, oh, I really felt like this person wasn't supposed to be there. And even like in groups where perhaps we're uncomfortable or there is just a natural triggering that happens, that there is like a divinity woven into that, that there is this higher order of why the people are orchestrated to do it. So yeah, this is really, really good stuff. So um, the theme of the retreat that I'm kind of working towards is called Soul Shine. So I am so grateful to just hear it reflected so much in your experience that it's exactly that idea that we're not meant to go on retreat to escape ourselves, but to be able to really like expand this soul space and be able to marinate on it for
Yeah.
5, 10 years and not feel like, well, next year I'm going to go to Italy. It's enjoyable to go on vacation, but that's not really like what a soul-centered retreat is.
Right. And you know, it's like we want to be able to be creating lives that we don't have to take retreat from. You know,
Mhm.
it's like retreat is retreat to self and community,
Mhm.
you know? So I think that yeah, that's beautiful because to be able, like you said, to marinate on that. And I mean, I took mine pre pre, the thing that happened in the world, the big thing. And I'm still like there's still so much that I'm like, and not only my own individual in my solid, like I have journals of stuff that I wrote while I was there, just going through mentally where I was at. So there's that and everything else, right? So it's just, yeah, there's a lot to continually integrate. And I think that is a really important thing to be able to really focus on when coming back coming back home, or parting from the retreat, is being able to really integrate that into your everyday life. And how has it affected you? And be able to be gracious with ourselves to have that integration period.
Yeah, which could be, a week, months, hopefully a
Look at
long
me.
time.
Look at
Yeah.
me.
Well, I think that's how you know that the space was what it was meant to be. And
Definitely.
that, we don't
And
necessarily want to go back over and over again to have that experience.
yeah.
It's done something for us. And, I'm sure maybe you can relate as a practitioner. Sometimes people will ask me, like, how much am I supposed to be doing this work? And it's like, hopefully the smallest amount possible. That like
Right.
the
Right.
really
Yeah. Like there it should
spongy stuff like just sits
the
for a long time with
force,
you.
it's like there doesn't need, like, if there's this forceful, like, like the repetition, yeah, there's less is more, really.
Mhm.
Less with intention, though, less
Mhm.
with intention.
Yeah, like some precision to it all.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And it's so cool. So can you tell us a little bit more about your retreat?
Oh, sure, absolutely. So this is my 10-year anniversary as a yoga teacher, which is crazy. I'm 30 years old, so it's like kind of feels like I'm young in the space still. And it's just insane to me to think that I've been teaching for that long. So Soulshine is one part yoga, one part Reiki and mindfulness practices in Costa Rica for 6 nights. So we have twice a day yoga, incredible food, and really a list of ceremonies that are meant to connect us to nature. So, as a Reiki practitioner and mindfulness teacher, those are my favorite practices, being
Yeah.
connected to nature, being able to hear spirit through the animals that we see, through the elements that we interact with. So it's going to be in April of 2026, and we've got some time away, but we're just kind of warming up to it all.
Yeah.
And in preparation, I just felt it so powerful to like talk to other people who have been on international retreats. So if I could take you back to like pre Machu Picchu, Ethan, I want to talk about some of the fear and financial aspects that kind of precede a retreat. Like, what did that look like for you? Was there discomfort about the ticket price? Did you contemplate
There was
it for a
discomfort
while?
about everything.
Struggle, like,
Yes, there was discomfort about all of it. Um,
yeah.
I mean, I was in school at the time,
Mhm.
like, traditional school. Um, and I was like, whoa, how am I gonna make this work? There was just like, there's no way I can make this happen, right? And I think that, like we were talking about a little bit before, um, there is that like divinity
Mhm.
protecting the sanctity and this sacred like encapsulation of the people that are supposed to be within whatever cohort or whatever you want to call it. Um, and I truly believe for myself, like, if this is supposed to work out, it's going to. And I know that's like, oh, so much easier said than done, right? But it really was that simple in the sense that I ended up, I had a friend reach out to me from one of my earlier trainings with QHHT, and he was like, "Do you want a room together?" And I was like, "Sure." So, we ended up like splitting the costs of things, and it made it a lot more manageable. And also, I think that, it's something that if you are serious about it, it's a commitment to yourself. No matter like how much or how little money you want to put aside for, and this is just thinking into the future for yourself, right? As an individual that wants to do something like this, um, to put what, $20 a month, $20 a week, $20, like it adds up regardless, like it really does. And that's just like on the small end, right? And you can do a silent retreat locally,
Mm.
and then I think that as the commitment to self and giving ourselves that nourishing experience, we see the value in that. It kind of puts us in a place where, okay, like this is a commitment to myself. This is an investment because just as like, health insurance, it's better than health insurance. Like, like, and not like, just in the comparison of like, there's things that we invest in, and it's like, what am I doing this for? Right? Like it's futile in a sense, but to be able to make the commitment to invest in something like this is huge because it overflows into every aspect of your life. From making that decision and going through the experience and thereafter. And how it affects everybody individually is so much different. And it opens up so many different doorways that I think to um to and it's difficult, right? Because you think about certain situations financially and it's like, okay, like this, it isn't feasible right now, but that's okay, right? And there will be a next time, and you will be where you're supposed to be when you're supposed to be there in every regard. So to make the commitment to yourself to be financially, you know, responsible. And that means not straining yourself and getting yourselves into situations that are going to be damaging long term, right? That kind of thing too. I think that's really important to stay mindful of because you can see like, ooh, like there's this thing. Let me like, oh, go get a credit card. Yeah, don't do that. Stay financially wise, guys. But you know, yeah, I think that the main thing is it's an investment that is going to pour into your life tenfold. And it's like for me, I wouldn't change anything. It was scary, it was frightening. But I bit the bullet and I was like, I'm doing this. Like I, I'm doing this, So I think that yeah, that's it. That's it.
I know it might be hard to recall or articulate, but can you think of anything that really tipped the scales for you in terms of fear and hesitation that just made you be all in and commit despite all the thoughts that we all have about spending several $1,000s a lot of the times
I
to
just
get
knew I had to do
plan and
it.
go.
I knew like I knew I had to do it. There was like
Mhm.
no question. And I guess that's what really gave me the courage to just do it. I was like, no, like I'm doing this. I like, and that's the thing. There was a 100% certainty. Like there was no question in that moment of like there wasn't any of that. It was like, no, this is what you're doing. And I was like, okay, this is what I'm doing. Told all my professors I was going to be gone and I would get that stuff squared away. So like I literally walked away. I told my job, "Hey guys, I'm going to Peru." And they knew like going in that I was going. So it was just a total commitment to me. And
You share like some of the more impractical parts of this that like maybe in the middle of a school semester or you
yeah,
have a job that doesn't necessarily understand like
yeah,
the
right.
difference between a family vacation and a solo trip to Peru. Like, I can share as the leader of this Costa Rica retreat that this is certainly not the ideal time that I thought I would be leading a retreat in Costa Rica. But it's
Right.
very similar to the participant end of things that this retreat just came banging at the door for to exist. And so I know with a certainty that it is meant to happen at this time for a very specific reason and perhaps to like inspire I believe other mothers to like have that permission to step away despite needing to do a lot and spin a lot of plates and that you know you might have small children and there's a tug and a push and a pull and a lot of different needs to weigh in it. But when you feel that heart call and you feel that sense of certainty, and there is just sign after sign after sign that you are meant to be doing something, you just go. You know, and I think Peru wanted you, and in the same way, I felt that Costa Rica just needed us to be there.
Needed us to be there, for what's to unfold thereafter, right? Um, and there's a calmness within that certainty too. There and don't get me wrong, that's not to say there isn't like the like whoa, what am I doing? Like I have school, I have a job, I have everything else going on in my life. But I knew there wasn't any other way about it. And so I think that that's another thing that yeah, let's get into that really quick, right? So um just like because reflecting back, there was that. There really was those tugs in all these different directions emotionally, and fear and all of that. Um, and I think with all of that, there's still the there comes a point when it's like I have to choose me because like I have to choose, and it's funny because you'll get into like conversations with people and they'll be like, and this is just like thinking back to, relational stuff, and it's like, oh, like what? You think life's all about you? And it's like, my life is all, yes, my life is, and not in in a like conceited, unhealthy manner, but in the sense that we have to stay committed to ourselves in making the decisions that are going to progress our future. Um,
Well,
and
as you said, this really uplifted your career, which is client
my career,
facing, and
yeah,
your relationships, which
yeah,
are,
yeah,
the
right?
fabric of your life. So,
Yeah, the entire fabric. Oh, something fell. Sorry. Um, yeah, so the entire fabric of my life. Yes, exactly. And I think Oh, well, I don't think. I know. Why am I saying I think? I know. Um, I know that um there's like to be in thinking back to what you were saying, for example, with like to submerge yourself in nature, right? That was a big part of being in Machu Picchu and in Cusco and while we were there. And I think back to that and to experience that without a care in the world about anything else. It's just like, okay, we're going on a hike up these waterfalls because it's nice and we want to and we can.
Mhm.
And just there's a purity to the energy within that experience. And the expectation in any one way is absent because it's like we're just gonna we're going and so I hope that everyone can experience that within their lives, you know, to be able to have the peace to just go, just go,
Like a very pure presence, like just being so deeply in the moment and
just go,
enjoy, right? Like I think we
just
have to learn and be given the right tools for. So
yeah.
I have one last question for you, Ethan, for somebody that is on the other line watching this, trying to figure out like, is a retreat the right thing for me? They're in the muck of all of that fear and the how and that mental space. What advice would you give to them?
Be with yourself.
Mm.
Um, right? Be with yourself. And I would suggest whether it's walking or um even sitting in stillness works great. I definitely like actively like meditating. I like walks in nature. Contemplation of what's going on around these ideas with the decision and with the finances, like what thoughts are arising within yourself, not externally, not what anyone else is saying. No, what's going on within between you yourself and you, between you yourself and you. Yes, like what's going on there, and get that clear and reach out to support if you need it, and it'll be there. Like you know, like and it really is that simple in terms of be still with yourself and the answers will arise. And if it's not supposed to happen, it's not going to happen.
Mm.
If it's meant to be, it's going to be, you know? Like and it is that simple. However, I think with that is a whole journey in and of itself.
Mm. Mm.
You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah,
so
like who we become when we commit. It starts like the journey of
yes.
something
And it's
new is
right.
like
So it's like when
beginning
does
of
the
that
retreat
moment.
start? When does the retreat start?
Yeah.
And
Mm.
yeah, so I think that retreating within self is the first step. And that's all I got.
That's amazing. Thank you so much, Ethan. I'm really, really grateful that you took the time to share your experience and your heart. And there's just so much potent, amazing stuff in here. I'm gonna give a shout out to the Violet Flame before we close.
For
Me and
sure.
Ethan are cohabitants there, and we are having an open house on the 8th. So you guys would like to see us in person, there will be a complimentary sound bath there. We're going to be doing some mini sessions and meditations. You can see the incredible work that Ethan and the other practitioners at Violet Flame do. And yeah, please do like leave comments, discuss, give voice to the fears that you might have or the things that are coming up for you as you search what for those answers on whether or not retreat is right for you. So thank you so, so much. Namaste to you. Have a wonderful holiday weekend. And yeah, hope to see you at the office soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.